welcome to Day One Patch Podcast, episode 338. I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. We have Tim Spence with us.
Yeah.
Matt Lawrence.
Yeah.
And Adriano Petty. Hello.
Hi.
Some of the top stories this week include, so there's a big old court case happening between Epic Games and Apple, and we're learning some tidbits from that. One of them is kind of confirming what I think we already knew, but that Xbox has never turned a profit on any of its devices. So we'll talk a bit about that. This lawsuit has also led to kind of people looking at game hardware in general, or just the gaming industry in general. Sony is now also being sued for limiting purchases of games to the PlayStation Store.
Holy crap.
So,
here we go, eh?
Another bit of an antitrust case there. To Matt's delights, we also have a story here about the PS5 potentially being redesigned
Oh, yeah.
to kind of combat the shortage in processors that's happening globally right now. And then finally, we have a story about Activision Blizzard shedding light on their mobile approach, calling the platform a real priority. So we're going to be talking about that. First off, what's new with you guys? Adriano, what's new with you? I don't think we started with you in a while.
Been off for a few weeks. I have not played any new games. I've been only playing Hearthstone and Overwatch mainly. I did buy a new game yesterday. I didn't get a chance to play it, but I do intend on starting it soon. Called Loop Hero. I will talk about that when I actually do start it. Hopefully, maybe next week. I will technically say I played something. This is kind of far-reaching, but I did play an interactive movie on Netflix called Black Mirror Bandersnatch. I'll take that and run with it.
Holy crap.
Did you get to the end?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing.
Nice. Yeah, that was awesome. I remember when Bandersnatch came out.
Yeah, I was unsure of it in the first 5 minutes, especially who's watched it or who's done it.
I think we all have.
Yeah. When I hit a dead end because they do the whole premise of like, oh, it's like a choose your own adventure book. And historically, those books let you kind of cycle around a couple of times. Like you can't really go down one path too far and then hit a dead end and that's it, you're done. They usually give you a way to kind of cycle around. You're kind of mazing your way around it. And then the first time that I hit a dead end, I'm like, oh, this is kind of dumb. Clearly, they just want me to go down a path and I could just keep on hitting these dead ends and they'll just keep rewinding me. And then I'm like, okay, this might not be what I thought it was, or it's very misleading. And then it wasn't until they started to get very meta with it about somebody in the future watching something on a streaming service called Netflix dictating how this guy lives his life. I'm like, okay, now this clearly falls into place and I'm totally fine with this. So I did that. And then besides that, I started the long, arduous journey of removing my Overwatch capture gallery off my PS4. And let me tell you, that is a process.
How many gigs is that?
The capture gallery of my Overwatch alone, not even the other games. Overwatch is 180 gigs of my PS5 hard drive.
Is that in like 15-minute clips? Or holy shit.
You didn't even trim them?
No, so I'm just going to export. I'm going to do mass export. So I have a system. I had to math it out with the jump drive. When I'm here at home and I have an hour to kill, I set 9 clips for export. That takes about an hour. Overnight, I do 18 clips, and they're usually good by the time I wake up and I can then start export and then moving them off the PlayStation. And if I'm at work, I do 36. So it's always 9, 18, or 36.
Holy fuck, dude.
And that's been kind of chipping away at it. It's been a good system so far.
You know, there's something I got to add to this. So I had the same issue. I was trimming my clips though for the most part, but I had my whole PS4, library of photos and everything else, and it was about 250 gig when it was all said and done because I had an external drive that had most of my games on it, and I had the same issue as you, really long export times, whatever. And what ended up solving it, which was kind of an accident, was I ran out of space on just hard drives in the house. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to buy one of those mini Samsung SSDs. And I bought a 500 gig one, I think. Maybe it was 1 terabyte or whatever, but a really fast one. Now, yes, I know that the PS4, I think, is USB 3 or 2 on the front. I don't remember, but it's not like the fastest of the fast. Obviously, it's a little bit older. When I plugged in that drive, I moved all 250 gigs in a little over an hour.
I definitely don't have one of those. But the reason why I'm not trimming them is because every time you're trimming, everything's in an MP4 format on, like everything is that compression. And every time you do a trim, it will resave it and it will actually compromise the quality again. And if you look at that exported trim version versus a just exported raw version, you will see a quality difference. And the reason why is I want to retain quality to the best of my ability, and that's why I would rather take the entire clip off. The reason why I'm doing it now is because starting June 1st, everything going into Google Drive will start counting towards storage. So if I can dump that stuff into Google now, that's 180 gigs I don't have to worry about later.
That will hurt the quality, although if you're retaining it and then they're not, then you're not double dipping on the...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they only say they like compress it to HD or something.
Yes, and I do plan on. I'm actually going to just to kind of kill time and kind of kill time before the end of this pandemic. I actually wanted to just stitch together a video of every single one of my play of the games that I have, and I'm just going to do one massive long video for the entirety of Overwatch, and then I'll export it when Overwatch sunsets, and I go jump on to Overwatch 2. So that's why I kind of want to also retain quality, because then if I lose the original clips after I've exported it and I've saved that export video, I really don't care. It's just for now I just want to try to keep the quality as close as possible. So that's my little weird project.
So you're already doing this on the PS5 then too, right?
Yeah, well, I've started to I've saved clips on the PS5.
Yeah.
I haven't exported those yet. I figured this. I take everything that I have from the PS4, I start dumping that into Adobe, and thankfully those clips are all time-stamped in the file name, so it will literally just organize it in order. It will literally have the year and time, and then I'm going to just start laying that down onto a timeline, and then as I get to the end of the PS4 ones, I'll go grab the PS5 ones, and then by time, and just as Overwatch 2 comes out, I'll clean up that video and send that out. So... That's Adriano.
Matt, what are you doing?
I have been doing a kind of a mix and match worth of stuff, I suppose. A little bit of Fallout 76, new season, doing that. And because of the new camp layouts, or camp loadouts, I should say, you can have multiple camps now, camp slots, whatever they call them. Basically, I was able to keep my original camp, which is really good for selling stuff real estate-wise, and we have what we call a megala camp, which is a reference to Megalodon. Anyway, yeah, so we have a big mega camp now as my second slot, which is super nice. So I'm kind of getting back into building a little bit. I definitely am rusty, but I've been messing around. I built... I built a new store, and my original store was Dilly Dan's Done Dealios, and I was going to make it like just another Dilly Dan's, but I thought of an even more bizarre name, or at least more bizarre to me, which is referring to a PlayStation Move sports character named Tatupa, which is actually, I think it's Tatupu, but we always say Tatupa, so I changed it to Tatupa.
I remember us finding that out a while back, and then I forgot about it, and still referred to him as Tatupa. And then you reminded me that it was Tatupu.
Yeah, so it's an in-joke basically still, but so I have Tatupa's Tower Tavern because I built a house in a transmission tower, and I have a little tavern in the bottom. So I'm still building it, but the shop is open. Come check it out. If you're listening to this, you want to go buy some stuff. But yeah, so one thing I will say that's nice is there's a lot of quality of life improvements in 76 recently, and one of them is definitely the shops. I didn't like the fact that, so this is how it works. So usually it's, you put down up to 4 shops, each can have 30 items. Now they basically say any vendor accesses all items that are on sale. The great part about this is that it basically flags the items as on sale, in this case across my 2 camps. So I'm able to just plop down a vendor and all my stuff is still for sale. I don't have to relist it. I don't have to find it. I don't have to mess around with it. And sure, it kind of sucks for some people that had designs for multiple vendors and had signs on them and stuff like this. But this just allows you to use the in-game filtering system, which I did not like for the first day or so. But now that I've been building and seeing the kind of the power of it, I guess I really like that. So that's been nice. But I still haven't beat the Brotherhood story. I'm just chipping away at the season. And I'm pretty far in the season, actually. I'm level 32 or level 31 now. So I've been chipping away because when I play, so I don't do like dailies every single day, or at least I what I try to do is when I play, I do as much as I can just in case I have to miss a day, basically. And so I do like the nuclear winter. I do the level up every day, although I have a build that is specific for leveling up fast, stuff like that. So yeah, that's kind of where I've been at for there. We've been playing the Outriders as well. Been doing a little bit of the challenge tiers. We got up to challenge tier 8, which is the end game sort of thing. And we realized that we weren't done the world tier, so we went back and we were across all of us, we were in world tier 13-ish. I think some of us were in 14 or something. We weren't all mixed. We weren't all matched up. There was 3 of us. So we went and we started doing those because they give you a couple legendaries for leveling them up, and it also allows you to equip higher level gear. So I presume that's mandatory almost. I don't know. I haven't looked up too much about this game. So we've just kind of been playing it by ear. So we've been going back and we're kind of synced up now. So we're at about 14.5, which is good. So next time we play, we'll probably finish up those world tiers and then we'll end up going in the higher levels. I've been doing a little bit of research just specifically on my build in that game. Because the build in that game is pretty simplistic in that like it requires like a fair bit of farming and this and that, but there's just like not like hundreds of specs and like what feels like hundreds of specs like there have been in like say the Division or something. I realize not literally hundreds in the Division, but it just felt a little more overwhelming in the first Division specifically. This game just feels more like I'm just putting almost like mods on a gun and COD mods on my armor. There's some other stuff, of course. You have to get good rolls and stuff, of course, but that's just sort of standard loot shooter stuff. And I saw a guy run around doing. So we're stuck, 3 of us, 3 players, are stuck on World Tier 8. And I saw a guy rip through World Tier 15, or Challenge Tier 15 easily, which is the last Challenge Tier as far as I know. So I'm gonna start collecting gear, because there's 3 of us, so I can kind of compensate for the fact that I'm not at my max power. And I'm gonna slowly but surely sort of like follow a little bit of his build. There's some stuff I don't want, some stuff I don't need, and there's a couple different ones, so I've been messing around with that. So that's kind of what I've been doing. But other than that, that's mostly been what I've been doing. I'm trying to find another game like Morrowind to finish, and because I kind of want to just start finishing stuff. And I had a couple of ideas. So I've beaten, short of the like the really early GTAs, I've beaten all the GTAs and DLCs, and also not the handhelds, to be clear. The main sort of iterations of the game. But I've never beaten Lost and Damned, which is the biker DLC. I have it, though. So I think I might do that. That's on the list. Another thing I was going to do is actually go back and play Stalker. But before I even started this Morrowind journey, I watched a video of somebody playing Stalker, and they had to like heavily mod the game to make it what the guy called like more playable, I guess. Now, I played the original way back in the day. I was a kid. Not super young though, so I understood games and stuff, but I still got my ass kicked, and I never beat them. There's a couple of them. There's either 2 or there's definitely 2. There might be 3 before Stalker 2, which is coming out. So I'm not really sure whether I want to. I don't know if I want to go on like a big adventure again. But actually, as an aside thing as well, Tim and I got Morrowind Online working, which was a bit of a journey.
Jesus.
And, the setup was super janky. Really confusing. Like the guide was confusing even, but then it had no business working as well as it did once we got it working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it almost felt like the game was kind of designed for it in a sense. Like it was working way better than I would have thought. A multiplayer mod for a single player game from 2002?
I think that's
would
right.
ever work. I couldn't believe it.
Well, our issue was very bizarre. So we were playing and we tried to get it to work, and we followed this guide. Tim had found this blog post, and we followed this guide. It's an official guide as far as I know. And it was like, download this file, do this whole thing. I'm not going to bore you with that. But we realized that like we were having troubles. We couldn't connect. I had like the server running and I was getting some errors. So I was like messing around with some port forwarding and stuff. And I got like the errors for the most part to go away. But I kept having this one, like, it couldn't talk to the global server or something. And I was talking to Tim. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, why is it trying to talk to some like external server? Like, what is it doing? And then I realized like later, I was like, oh, maybe that's the matchmaking thing. So we tinkered a little bit more because there's like a matchmaking server browser. So we tinkered a little bit more and we still couldn't get it to work. And then I think it was Tim found a couple more guides. And in those guides, they were using a slightly higher version. So we were using, I don't know, 0.6 or something like that. And these people were using like 0.67 or 0.71 or something alpha. And when we downloaded that specific version and got that thing to work, it actually just straight up like started working immediately. And if you go into the server settings, like I think it's called global server, that had a different IP in it and stuff like this. So I guess that alpha is the only one that's working. Unless the other one was just down at the time. I don't know what happened. But once we got that thing up and running, we were off to the races. We did a little bit. I stole a bunch of stuff, and then I got caught for stealing stuff, and the guards took my pants, so that was good. And so yeah, that's Morrowind.
Man, that was so good. I loved it. Just like the first thing that we did when we got it working, we ended up in Balmora, and this the first thing we did was like, oh, there you are, and we just immediately started fist fighting in the street, and we both got arrested for it.
It's so bizarre that, especially that, right? Like we're playing a mod, and you wouldn't think that the game would realize that like Tim isn't, like it would just not know Tim is there type of thing. Yeah. I'm the host, so it doesn't know Tim's there. But it did. It knew that him and I shouldn't be fighting, and it arrested us both.
Yeah, it treated me, I don't know if it treated me as an NPC, but it treated both of us like we were assaulting a character, and there were guards right there, and we just got fucking swarmed, and then they sent us off to some Imperial for it. But yeah, that was good. It was a lot of fun.
The only thing that like, if you as a listener or like want to play this, you can't go off and do your own quests. It syncs to the person that is latest in the game. So we were both starting fresh, so it didn't really affect us. But let's say, for example, I was the Archmage of the Mages Guild already, and I was the host, and Tim decided to join fresh, he would also be the Archmage. It just syncs to the furthest point, which if you're playing co-op side by side, it really doesn't matter. But it's just something to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like whatever progress anybody makes on any quest, everybody gets it, but not everybody gets the reward for a quest.
Oh, that too.
So we started doing some of the Fighters Guild stuff, and then we would go and turn in the quest, and only one of us would get the reward. So then we'd like split the gold or whatever. But yeah, there's little things here and there that I actually kind of like, because it's like, yeah, if you send two people to do a job, yeah, here's the reward. This was the promised reward. Mm-hmm. Do with it what you will. So it's kind of cool instead of just like duplicating the gold, because that would be kind of cheap. Because some of those servers you can have like 60 people on them. So like you do a quest for 100 gold and everybody gets 100, then you've got like 60,000 just like that, right?
There's also like different modes too. We didn't try them. I think you said, Tim, there was like some sort of battle royale mode where you're supposed to run around, get loot for a certain period, and then you get teleported to, I guess, some sort of arena or something, and then you fight it out with that equipment, which is pretty cool. So some pretty interesting ideas from the modders.
Yeah, other modders have worked with it because it's an open mod. It relies on an open mod framework kind of thing, so anybody can access it and do with it what they will. So some people have made like a battle royale system. Other people made a like an RP server, which was like different races and stuff too, which is kind of cool. Yeah, they've done some things with it. It's pretty wild.
What about you, Tim? What are you up to?
So, I've forgotten to mention the last like 4 or 5 weeks that I've just kind of passively been playing Monster Hunter as well. I mostly talking about like what I was doing on stream, but I always would forget until afterwards that I was like, oh yeah, I've also been playing a shit ton of Monster Hunter, which is par for the course for me because I usually am playing one of them at least at any given point. So Rise has been out since March. It's really fucking good. And they just released their update. So the game is 2.0 now, which has more, just more monsters in it basically. They added a bunch of Elder Dragons, some that people might not have seen before if they're more a newcomer to the series. So you've got some old ones from World as well, and a bunch of new armors and weapons and things like that. And there's a system in the game called the Rampage, where it's basically just like, it's kind of like a horde mode, like you build defenses and stuff like that, and you get like turrets and different defensive tools, and you fight off just a ton of monsters all at one time. And then at the very end of it, there's always like a lead monster that are called Apex, and they're like Apex versions of existing monsters in the game. And then they give you, good loot and stuff if you can take them down. So I've been doing a lot of those recently. I'd kind of gotten to the end of the story because they had something for the end of the story with like the base game, and then the update came out, and then the story continued a little bit. There were like two more story missions or something, or story hunts, and then it paused again. So I think at the end of this month is going to be the second title update. So there'll be new monsters again, more for the story, and then more everything else as well. Like they added new DLC, they added new like layered armor sets, they added new stickers and gestures and all this optional stuff that you don't need at all to play the game. It's all just cosmetic, but if you want to pay a couple of bucks and get some extra stuff too, like they've started kind of doing that with Monster Hunter, which is pretty cool, because sometimes they add like cool things. And they've also added event quests as well, so they're starting to do what every Monster Hunter game, for as long as I can remember, has always had. Any Monster Hunter that could connect to the internet, they would release event quests as sort of a trickle feed throughout the game's life cycle, which usually just gives you like either really weird or kind of odd rewards. So a lot of the older games kind of have like silly weapon design. So in World, if you played World and you hadn't played any other Monster Hunter games before, they tried to go kind of more like realistic with it. So a lot of the weapon designs were kind of boring. They were like a metal weapon, but then you upgrade it and you slap some monster parts on it, but it's still the same metal weapon underneath kind of thing. Whereas in previous games, it's like, this hammer is literally just a giant piece of ham. Or like, this hunting horn is a throne with a little piggy sitting on top of it. Like weird things like that. So they've thankfully gone back to the more kind of silly, kooky designs for a lot of the weapons. And so event quests usually are the things that will give you those sorts of things. And sometimes you'll just fight like weird monsters as well. So like there's one where in one of the older games, you have to fight two of this same monster, and one is like smaller than your hunter, and one is like gargantuan size. So that one, it's always, they sort of do like really weird things sometimes for the event quests. It's just a lot of fun. It like mixes up the formula a lot. So I've been doing just a shit ton of Monster Hunter. I've been playing a lot of Insect Glaive and kind of also the Switch Axe as well, because I've always loved the Switch Axe. I'm just not really very good at it, but I'm trying to get better at it in Rise. But aside from that, I finished Majora's Mask yesterday on stream, which was just an absolute ton of fun. I did not think I was going to be able to get all of the masks, but I did somehow. So I got to enjoy using the Fierce Deity mask at the end of the game that you get when you get every other mask. And aside from that, a little bit of open Morrowind with Matt, and I'm still kind of going back to Oblivion every once in a while, just when I want to kind of kill some time, just jump onto like another character and just kind of do dungeons and stuff like that, or go onto my character that I was playing on stream and just using magic to wipe everything out because I'm so just insanely overpowered. But yeah, mostly Monster Hunter. That's what my big focus has been the past month or so. It's so goddamn good.
As for myself, been doing the Fallout grind. Outriders, I guess, is now a grind. And then I started Returnal, which was a PS5 exclusive from Housemarque. And it is a roguelike, and it's super fun. I don't know if it's a Ryan type of game. I'm going to keep at it because I did have fun when I played it. The atmosphere of the game is incredible. And there is a bit of a mystery to it and a story. And so that's kind of fun trying to get through that. I'll have to find time to play it again, though. I do hear that like the runs can take like a couple hours.
I'm
Which is
no
a bit-
stranger to those. I got Dead Cell runs under my belt. That's way fucking longer than that.
Well, I think it's funny because it's getting criticism for having these long runs, and people like want like some sort of save point or something. But isn't that the whole point of a roguelike? I find it odd that people are complaining about this one and not other ones.
People are used to Fortnite and Among Us now, where you can just jump in for 15 minutes and that's it.
But no one complained about Hades not having like a save spot, right?
Because they were too distracted by all the thirst traps in that game.
Oh, okay.
What's what do you lose in that game? I know it's a roguelike, but if you get to the end of a run and die, do you still get all the rewards if there are any? I don't really know much about it.
Since I've only kind of done like 2 runs, I don't really know yet. I'm not too familiar with the game, right? I don't think you keep your weapons. Is that right? But you might keep some abilities you get. I'm not sure. I'll play more and report back. How does Dead Cells work, Pedro?
So Dead Cells is you do a run, you capture cells, then at the end of every stage, you can pump those into your abilities or your weapons, and those upgrades are permanent. You can also then, at the end of every boss stage, which are at 3 intervals throughout the runs, you can pump those cells into a permanent upgrade to the world. You can make it. You can do it in. There's 3 levels. There's like a 100 cell upgrade, and then there's a 500. Then there's a 1,000 cell upgrade. Then there's a 10,000 cell upgrade, and those are just like a permanent across the world run, which will make things slightly easier. Even though you can actually save in the middle of a run, though, now that I think about it with Dead Cells, you can literally just exit and then you can go back in and then.
Oh, you know what? That might be the criticism is like you can't even like turn off the game in the middle of a run.
Yeah. So Dead Cells will literally just like free state where you are, and then it will just let you go back.
That makes a lot more sense then because.
Go ahead. No.
Nope. Even after updates, like if they updated the game, and you had it like your game in like rest mode or something, it would wipe it.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, didn't they say to put it in rest mode or something, and then it didn't work or something?
They said to turn off your auto update feature on the PlayStation to stop the update from installing.
So wait, if you have the latest update and then you turn off auto update so that the game doesn't get closed by the system, is that the reason? And
it was before the update came out. So like they released like I think it's the first update for the game, and they said if you don't want your like game erased or whatever, or like your position in the world erased, to turn off the auto update so it doesn't close your game.
Right, but the way to quote unquote save, assuming there's no update that day or you've turned it off, is to put it in rest. So that still works, like the quick resume or whatever PlayStation calls it.
Yeah, but I do believe they are listening to people. I think if it wasn't the update that just came out, I think they are going to find some way for you to be able to kind of save or something. Anyway, it's interesting.
Yeah. Is it a full price game? What did you drop?
Yeah,
for that?
Full price. Yeah.
Wow. I am interested in it. I do feel like I should be playing something next gen on my PlayStation 5 instead of just Helldivers and Overwatch.
Yeah.
But
I love that you still play Helldivers. Like, how old is that game now? And it's
I fucking love that. If you guys want to play something new on PC, I will rebuy all of Helldivers on PC because it's only on PlayStation and it's only on PC.
Helldivers was 2015.
I thought it was earlier than that. I thought it was 2014. But hey, yeah, I'll still play Helldivers. Yeah, it's an hilarious game. If you have the right personalities while playing it, it's fucking great.
Although, like you guys are playing Morrowind, and you're talking about
yeah,
Helldivers.
That game's got fucking charm, though. It's got such weird. Yeah, I love old RPGs that are weird.
And we stole from that cat a whole bunch, and then we sold him a bunch of stuff too. It was horrible.
Oh, we also played Sea of Thieves on Wednesday.
Oh my God,
was
Matt.
that was fucking crazy. Yeah. Now go ahead, Ryan. Take it away.
I don't know. I don't even know what happened. There was this red skull.
I blacked
Or
out for like
skull
4
with-
hours.
There was a skull with red eyes, and I guess we had never really seen it before, right, Matt?
Or at least I don't remember seeing it. It looked like one
And
of the
so-
fort ones, but it was red.
We got done the stream at a normal time. Adriano went off, and you just wanted to go check it out to see what it was, and that turned into like a couple hour battle
I'm so glad I fucking failed.
with like
Holy
I don't
shit.
know 20 waves of enemies and a lot of screaming and running around and trying to. We wasted all of our barrels, our explosive barrels, when we should have saved them for the later.
Yeah,
were
we
firing
had
cannons. We were sheltering on our ship. Our masts were getting blown off.
we had a wood shortage, a wood crisis at one point.
We used all the supplies on that island, every
yeah,
single one of them.
and they respawned. We were fighting for almost a week in game. It was a thing because we had a terrible stream too that night. We got like the stream itself was fine, but we got fucked in game. Like we tried to go fight not a world boss, but Firebeard or whatever. Tried to go fight him in a galleon, and we were there for the end, but a galleon killed us, player galleon. And then we tried to go after another person, and it ended up being them, and they ended up outrunning us. And then as we were outrunning them, we went into a kraken. And actually, the reason why we were chasing them for the second time on our second ship is that we went to try to go to a world boss, and they were there, so we got screwed out of a world boss. And then we got fucked by the kraken, although we survived. And we had like just a little bit of loot from some little like side dealings. And so we went and sold that, and then that's when we went and did that crazy thing, whatever that crazy thing was, and it was crazy. But if we ever
Crazy for two of us, I think more people needed to be there.
if we saw that at like the beginning of a stream,
Yeah,
and
I would have been down for that.
because that gave us well over $100,000 and a bunch of Athena's fortune as well. So
You got ranked up in Athena's Fortune?
yeah, so we had a bunch of stuff. We had ancient like goblets or something, and then we also had a couple of chests of it's called like legendary voyages or ancient voyages or something. And there's a couple other things, kind of the stuff that glows blue. It kind of has like a glow, like a blue glow to it. A couple of special gunpowder barrels that glowed blue as well. And we couldn't figure out how to sell them. We're like, great, like we got to go somewhere. Because here's the thing: we left the fort. There was not a sanctuary. There was an outpost right beside where we were. So it wasn't. We were like, great. Our ship broke, and I don't mean sank. I mean broke. Like it glitched out. We couldn't go on the wheel. So all we could do was drop the anchor, and we couldn't even raise the anchor. We press X, and our character just like snaps to like this weird position, and it won't go in. We couldn't even get in the rowboat. We had to detach the rowboat, and then it worked. So we had to fucking row our stuff in, and we were like, great, like we have all this blue stuff. Where the hell do we sell this? So I was like, okay, to get this beacon off the beach, I'm going to take everything. If it's blue, I'm dropping it in the center. Ryan, you Google it. Me, I'm just going to start selling the stuff I know how to sell because we're going to try to min-max because I thought a player's going to come flying by. We're going to get nailed. Luckily, we didn't. And then luckily, it was just the guy in the tavern, the mystery guy, which I think one of us may have mentioned in a stream once, but I totally forgot about Athena's Fortune altogether. But yeah, it was that was a thing.
Yeah, because to become an Athena Fortune emissary, you need to be ranked. You need to max rank on the other three just to get. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that was nuts.
Yeah, we fought, what was it, Ryan? 10 quote-unquote regular bosses, approximately 10 regular bosses, a Bone Lord or a Hell Lord, or maybe even both, something like that, like some big brute guy, and then the Duchess came out after us, this bearded guy came out after us, and after all that was done, this person that we fought and as a world boss one time showed up, and that's who was kept hitting our ship and stuff, and it was just us two, and we ended up like killing them all, but that was a thing. That was some Sea of Thieves. Tell you
My
what.
favorite part is our ship breaking after all this.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like the perfect. It was just us sad. We were in the dinghy, rowing through the ocean to the post.
Well, we are
That's
so
ridiculous.
lucky that we were close because I think what broke it is I think we've experienced this is when we finished the event, the world did its like reset where it like resets all the events in the world. So we had literally just loaded all our loot and the game reset. And I was telling Ryan, I was like, I wonder if that reset was because we just effectively kind of finished off an event and like that now there's too few events in the world and it needs to reset. And we ended up like turning around, taking off. Everything worked after the reset, no problem. And then all of a sudden we couldn't do it. And I know we had that happen to us once before and we somehow fixed it, but I just couldn't remember how.
All right, let's hop into our stories for this week. So yeah, this kind of comes from the Epic versus Apple trial. Within the trial, they're having witnesses from other gaming companies, including Xbox. And we learned that the Xbox has never turned a profit on any of its devices. This comes from IGN. Xbox Vice President Lori Wright has been called to testify in the Apple versus Epic court case as a third-party witness and give insight into the gaming market as a console partner. Her testimony has shed some light on Xbox's internal workings, including the Xbox has never made a profit off of a hardware through any of the Xbox iterations. During the examination, Epic's lawyer Wes Earnhardt began a line of questioning on the probability of a console hardware. Earnhardt asks Wright, how much margin does Microsoft earn on the sale of an Xbox console? To which Wright responds, we don't. We sell the consoles at a loss. He said, just to be clear, does Microsoft ever earn a profit on the sale of an Xbox console? And she said, no. I think we kind of knew this, and I think we've heard stories in the past of like Nintendo makes their money back off of like one game sale. So if you bought like a Wii that they sold at a loss, you'd make it back on when buying your first game and such. But it's funny to see that this is like made public now as like official documents and such because of this trial.
I think I when you posted that in our group chat, I think my comment was, how stern of a face must you have had to hold in that court, knowing that that's going to be public, that you have to declare that Xbox doesn't make money.
To be clear, the Xbox division of Microsoft makes money.
It makes money, but like I'm talking about the console itself.
Yeah.
Four major iterations has not made money.
I kind of just thought that was the expectation at this point. Like, I feel like everyone knows that, like, PlayStations were selling at a loss.
Mm-hmm.
I guess nobody knew that Xbox was selling at a loss, but everyone knows that, like, Switch is selling at a loss.
But they sell at a loss immediately, most consoles, but they do eventually start making money on it as they refine as they do like new versions and they refine packaging and hardware costs come down, they do eventually break that. It's just funny that Xbox has never.
Well, the hardware costs going down because they start like gutting features from it, right? Like cutting the Blu-ray player from the PS3 and stuff like that.
They cut a Blu-ray player from the PS3,
or like
backwards compatibility.
From PlayStation, stuff like that. Yeah.
So this is making a lot of these third parties angry because it's not just Microsoft; it's also like game developers or publishers that have deals with Epic, whose like private information is being laid out for the public to see. And so they're now having to go back and redact things. There's also a public like Dropbox type website you can go to as a member of the public. You could just go to there and you can see all the documents that have been submitted to this case. And so they're having to go through and redact certain information as companies are complaining that their secrets are being laid bare.
That's crazy to me that all this stuff is coming out now. I mean, I wonder, because other trials really haven't gotten as much media attention, I'm sure. I wonder how many juicy secrets are in like old trial records, Oh,
yeah, for sure. Another one was that Epic pays Sony for crossplay on Fortnite. So, Xbox kind of like jumped on that early. I think, did Nintendo also do that early?
I feel like Xbox and Nintendo kind of jumped on it around the same time.
What game would they have in common?
Fortnite.
That's Fortnite.
Oh, right. Okay, I forgot Fortnite's on the Switch. That's right.
And Sony was the holdout. And I remember us complaining about them being the holdout too. And it turns out that they never thought it was a good idea. Like there was no benefit to them for having Fortnite be cross-compatible with other consoles. And I guess the deal that they arranged was that Epic would pay Sony and let them have cross-compatibility. So that's another thing we learned.
Does that lend itself to that? Remember the statement, and I'm paraphrasing from memory years ago now, but Remember when they first allowed it, they said, Fortnite, I think it was PlayStation released it, and they said, Fortnite will allow cross-compatibility or cross-play soon, and other titles may do so. Stay tuned. I wonder if they were anticipating making other deals with other developers.
That seems pretty crazy, doesn't it? I guess the sticking point was that they don't want you buying the V-Bucks on some other console, right? They want you buying it on the PlayStation, so they get a cut of that, right?
Well, PlayStation V-Bucks stayed on PlayStation. So there was a situation one time, and this shows how addicted I was to Fortnite at a period, but I remember we were trying to play, and PlayStation's login servers had gone down one night. Marty had already logged in. My game had crashed. I couldn't log in. So crossplay had been released at this point, so I actually just grabbed my laptop, logged in there, and played with him there via crossplay. And my V-Bucks were less because I had purchased some on PlayStation, but I had earned some in-game, which seemed to be the ones that were untouched.
Yeah. Apple has also not been kind of immune from any of these stories coming out. They're showing emails of how desperately Apple was trying to get Netflix to continue in-app purchases on their app, which proved unsuccessful because I think to this day Netflix does not have in-app purchases to subscribe. Apple wanted to make all these deals and stuff. Yeah, I think you're right about that too. Yeah. Anyway, so it's a fascinating case, and Rob is going to learn more as the trial continues. I think either way, no matter who wins this case, I think it's going to shake things up a little bit. Obviously, if Apple loses, that will shake things up quite a bit for them at least.
Well, what does it mean if Apple wins, and we're speculating if Apple wins, like what do they get? Like, they're not going to raise their commission, I would assume.
No, and I'm seeing people say like that they might give some concessions to kind of ward off smaller antitrust cases that could potentially crop up. So they might loosen things a bit. You know, they might come to a maybe they'll allow, because right now, unless you have in-app purchases, you cannot tell someone to go to your website. Like Netflix cannot say subscribe to Netflix by going to our website instead of going through the app.
Sorry,
right?
unless they have, say that caveat again.
Currently, if an app does not offer in-app purchases, right, they cannot tell you to go to their website to subscribe.
Okay.
I think even if you have in-app purchases, you can't tell them to go to the website for like a discount or something. So I can see Apple maybe loosening that up a bit, because that is a bit ridiculous, you know.
What's interesting about that is that if we all know what Netflix is for the most part, even people that aren't techies, they know what Netflix is. They know they got to subscribe. They know they got to log in. You're a smaller app and you don't want to deal with the 30% cut. People are going to be like, I don't have an account. I guess I'm not allowed in, and they'll just leave.
Yeah.
Like they probably won't get it, you know?
Yeah. But Apple has made one concession already. This was before the trial even started. They did their small business program, where if you're making under $1 million a year as an app developer, you only had to pay 15% as opposed to the 30%. It should also be noted that subscriptions are 30% for the first year and then 15% thereafter.
You know, it's interesting to me that in we talk about like the App Store fees, App Store commission as being sort of something held over the app developers, but yet if they like, I'm confused, I guess, as to why. Like, is Apple arguing how much value they're giving? Like, because we don't actually hear much about that, or at least in these stories, I don't hear much about that when we're talking on the show. Like, is Apple say, we charge 30%, we charge 15%. In these cases, we have these concessions because we offer X amount of impressions, X amount of organic reach, X amount of... Do they argue that in court, or have they done that yet?
Yes, I think they have, but it's not like their main point. It is Epic's main point, though, that they don't think Apple offers enough to warrant the 30%. Mm-hmm. And why they why they don't mind the 30% on Nintendo or PlayStation or Xbox consoles is because those consoles are sold at a loss, right? Which we've now learned. And so they feel like the 30% helps or is warranted in that case, whereas Apple makes a profit on every single iPhone sold, right? However, the 30% is an industry standard. It's across multiple online stores, including Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation. And Epic themselves like used to charge over 30% back in the day. This is back in the 90s. So it's very a lot going on, a lot of moving parts.
I wonder who's gonna, like, what's gonna happen in terms of, like, or is the consumer gonna get screwed here with a price increase on something?
I don't see Apple raising their prices. They're trying to fight to keep their prices the same, pretty much.
But if Epic gets their way, like, what are they gonna get?
What's Epic gonna get or Apple gonna get?
What's Epic going to get if Epic wins? Because we've already said Apple isn't going to raise their commission, probably.
I think Epic could potentially win, depending on how the court rules. They might break it down into several different things, right? But let's say they rule that Apple has to lower its percentage fee, right? That helps Epic make more money, obviously. And they could force Apple to allow either sideloading of apps or additional app stores onto iOS, which Epic wants to also do, so that you'd have an Epic Games launcher on your phone where you can go on there and purchase apps for iOS through them, right? That also helps Epic. They basically want the iPhone to act more like a MacBook does. That's basically their case.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, so this is also spilling into other companies here. PlayStation is also being sued for limiting the purchase of games to the PlayStation Store. This is from Bloomberg. Sony Interactive Entertainment is operating an unlawful monopoly by restricting purchases of PlayStation games to its in-house store, consumers claimed in a lawsuit. In a proposed class action suit, the gamers said Sony stopped allowing third-party retailers, including Amazon, Best Buy, and Walmart, to sell download codes for PlayStation games 2 years ago. As a result, Sony's PlayStation Store became the only source for digital PlayStation games, the consumers said. And I quote, Sony's monopoly allows it to charge super competitive prices for digital PlayStation games, which are significantly higher than the physical counterparts sold in a competitive retail market, and significantly higher than they would be in a competitive retail market for digital games, the consumers said. I find it odd that they said, super competitive, not super competitive.
Yeah, super competitive.
Super competitive would mean good prices or lower prices.
Yeah.
I guess supra competitive, which word is not showing as a word.
Yeah, it's read it out. I want to see what happens if you do smart lookup here. See what it does.
People end up paying as much as 175% more for downloadable games than the same ones on disc, according to the suit. And Sony did not comment.
Was there a link to that? This 175% more did they? I'm
not sure what they're citing that to.
Because that seems very hard to believe.
Well, it could be because like the physical discs go on sale to pretty low prices sometimes, whereas it might not always be the case on the PlayStation Store.
Yeah, I think I can believe that past a certain launch window when retail space becomes a major factor. But for like a launch window of 30 days, I can't imagine them paying more. Than the games downloadable game. Yeah, I can't imagine like usually the MSRP, especially for AAA launch titles. Or AAA titles are usually locked in at $59.99 American or $79.99 Canadian. So I'm gonna try to Google that. I want to see where they get that figure from.
I find these arguments odd though, because like they're almost like saying you have monopoly over your own device, which is like kind of my expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, okay, you have Xbox as a digital store, Nintendo has a digital store, PCs have multiple digital stores. And it's like, why does there need to be competition on the device itself? It's like if Xbox is going to offer lower cost games on their store as compared to Sony, that means you have to go buy an Xbox if you want the lower cost games, right? Isn't that how the competition works?
Yeah.
And so this I don't know how I feel about this. I get what they're getting at, you know.
Yeah, I understand what they're getting at, and I think an argument in either way I think it could convince me to go either way. But I can't say, I'll have to, I think I have to go with Sony on, like, so Sony's just doing what they've always done and what every other digital what most other digital platforms have done. So
one of the arguments that can be made, and I've heard made, is that during the Epic trial, I should say, is that the cost of switching to a different device is too great for some consumers. So obviously, you know, phones are pretty expensive nowadays, and it's like, if you're stuck in the Apple ecosystem with the iPhone, it's very difficult for the consumer to easily transition over to Android, right, to get better competitive pricing.
Interesting.
But consoles seem a little more obtainable to me.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about all this. I mean, I wonder how common it is that people buy these third-party codes from retailers. I mean, I just did it last week.
To be honest, I completely didn't. I figured third-party codes online were a thing because they are.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's just like this. I feel like that's a counter, you know, for Sony as well. It's like, yeah, they may have stopped retail codes in store, but you can also just get retail codes through other means. Like Humble Bundle has packages with retail with digital codes, or what's that site you sent me to, Matt? The one that's sketchy.
G2A.
Yeah, it's like there are those sites that just have those codes that you can just buy off there for cheaper. So like there are options available.
But is that what they want to bring to the console market, where it's like maybe some third party store can pop up on the PlayStation that could offer you better deals?
Well, I don't see. The thing is, though, one thing I think I'm confused, or maybe I missed something. So for example, the other day I wanted to buy Skyrim for my girlfriend on Switch, and I didn't want to like buy her like the little SD card thing. So I went to Best Buy, selected digital, bought it. They sent me the code. I gave it to her, and that was it.
Yeah.
So are they saying that that's not possible any longer?
Well, with Sony,
PlayStation.
PlayStation doesn't do that anymore.
They apparently shut it down 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Does that change anything?
I don't know. I don't. This just feels so like I guess it's just something that I just never realized was really there all that much. Obviously, I realized it was there. I just used it, but I didn't realize it was there enough to realize it was gone 2 years ago. Like,
right.
If you had asked me like, where can I buy this? I'd be like, buy it on DiscetDB, or maybe they have a download code. Like, I wouldn't have thought anything. I didn't even realize it was gone. This is bizarre.
It's weird because if you present this argument to me as a for PC or even Mac, it's like, yeah, that makes sense. You have multiple places where you can buy software and you just download it and this and that. But then you present that to me on a Windows phone, I guess would be the counterpart, or the iPhone, or then a game console. It makes complete sense that it would be a closed system.
Well, the thing is, though, it is still a closed system in a way, because they're selling the code to, say, Best Buy, and then Best Buy is giving it either physically to people in their physical retailers on like a little card or whatever, or they're doing what I just did, which was buy the physical code and then they send it to me through a third party called Codes to Go, I think they said, or something like that.
Good name.
But like whatever, like the thing is that like those codes get entered into the PlayStation Store for redemption. So they still have, like, you still download the game and stuff from the PlayStation Store. You don't download it from the Codes to Go store on PlayStation.
Right. So I'm not sure if these people are asking for simply the codes to be available to third-party retailers,
Hmm.
or if they want to open it up to other stores on the device itself. I think the former is the case.
I don't know how to feel about this because it's
Yeah, I'm usually all for competition in the marketplace, and anything that can help really bring down the price for consumers is I'm all for it. Except like forcing, it's like if I went and made a piece of hardware and I had to make the software to go with it, and somebody came along and told me that I had to allow a competitor's marketplace on my device, like it almost makes me just want to completely shut down that division. It's like, you're gonna make me do this. I'm gonna completely just stop. There's gonna be no PS6. This is the final console, and then I'm just gonna make games for PC, and you can only play it on PC.
I'm kind of in the camp of like, I feel that it's weird that they would not give codes to third parties, because they're still able to, they approve Skyrim, they approve, or in this case disapprove, of Cyberpunk, and then they pull it from the store. Now, I don't know how that would work. I mean, obviously 2 years ago now, the game hasn't released 2 years ago, but hypothetically, if you could buy a Cyberpunk PS5 code, PS4 code, whatever, from Best Buy, and then Cyberpunk's been pulled from the store, could you redeem it? I would say probably yeah. And could you download it? Probably yeah. But it's still something that Sony is housing. They're still controlling sort of that data flow. And I would assume that Sony / the PlayStation Store is the one selling the code to the retailer in the first place. It's a little bit strange that they would pull something from the retailer that they already kind of controlled on the back end anyway. Because like Best Buy might run like a really killer Boxing Day sale and then throw Skyrim in or whatever, right?
But they're just trying to drive general sales to their store rather than you looking at Best Buy before buying from their store. They just want you in their store. You're more likely to buy other things and know that's the place to go to just to buy your games, right?
That's why I don't know how to feel, because it's like, to me, I don't mind shopping around, and sometimes I just know what the price of something is if it's new or whatever, and I just buy it at the most convenient place. But sometimes, like with the whole Skyrim thing, I had to shop around a little bit and then be like, oh, okay, this is digital, I'll buy this here. And that was like through me shopping around a little bit. So I kind of like the idea of shopping around. Like, I'm not against it, but at the same time, it's like it is their console, but they're still controlling it, because you redeem it on there. I don't know how to feel about any of this. Like, this is a very this is very bizarre.
The competition is you're supposed to go to Xbox or Nintendo or PC. That's the competition. I don't know when it got to controlling what's on the device itself. Right.
Which is kind of what seems to be happening, because it almost feels like this so back in the day, way back, not that far, but people would like argue over like retail space in like a store over like at Christmas time. Like, I want my toys here, I want these the cardboard displays, I want this, I want that. Now it's
this
digital.
This needs to be at eye level here. You can't have this product next to that product. Contract says so, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and Adriana would know, because I've never worked retail, but Adriana would know more about that. Yeah, but just sort of general crap I've picked up on throughout the years. So the weird thing here is that like this is, it's like why doesn't like will Sony, let's say PS6 comes out in a few years, whatever, PS6 comes out, does Sony then effectively not want to even be on the retailer level anymore? Like, is everyone going to become their own little, like, you want an Xbox, you go to Microsoft.com or whatever and you buy it?
Yeah.
Like, is everyone just going to become like, nope, direct? Like, is that how we're going? I don't know how to feel about that, if that's true.
What it feels like to me is like going into, I don't know, Walmart, right? Who sells multiple third-party brands and whatever else. It's like going into Walmart and saying you must sell clothing from the Gap because you're not being competitive. You're only selling your own clothes. You must sell clothes from the Gap.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, that's weird. It's like, you need to go to the Gap then if you want the Gap clothing. That's the competition there. So I find it odd, like ordering these companies to say you must sell these items that are against you.
But see, I think that's the difference. This is where things get a little cloudy for me, is because I didn't realize the codes were gone. Is Sony says we have 100,000 codes of whatever game, I don't care, Returnal. We have 100,000 Returnal codes available. Who wants them? Best Buy, whatever, a bunch of other people, they all bid on them. Walmart does, whatever. And then they take them and they put them on shelves, and then people physically pick them up or they sell them online, however they get rid of them, right? They're a retailer, they do it the way they have to within their laws and whatever. And then the consumer takes the code and goes on the PlayStation and redeems it on the PlayStation store. So because it's different than, I would say, your Gap argument a little bit, because what I would argue is that going to Walmart and saying like, hey, you got to sell the Gap is different than you being like, the Gap being like, I got 100,000 hoodies, who wants it? And Walmart being one of them.
Right. Any thoughts, Tim?
I can't think of anything really that either hasn't already been said or like I'm too removed from the situation, I think, to really offer any additional insight. That's
fine. I just noticed you hadn't talked in a while. All right, let's move on. Maybe you can have an input on this. The PS5's redesign reportedly coming, but it probably won't change the look. This is from GameSpot.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
those is what I think you wanted, Matt.
Stay.
Or sorry, you wanted the look to change, right, Matt?
Yeah, those flimsy ass freaking fins that are hanging off the console don't really entice me too much. It's too big too.
Actually, Tim, I don't remember. Did you like the PS5 design or not?
At first, I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then I saw all the memes of like drawing it like it's wearing a tuxedo or it's wearing like a bodysuit or whatever, and it was pretty good. And then I saw a Photoshop that somebody did of the whole thing, but just as black, and I was like, "I don't know why they didn't go with this. Like, this looks great." And at first, I didn't like the controller either. But now when I look at the controller, it's actually quite grown on me a lot.
The white console I could take or leave. Like a black console does look better. I saw the Photoshop, but I really like the white controller.
Yeah, that's nice. Pretty much where I'm at too. Like it's a good look for it. So I don't know if at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to me because it's not like I sit there and like man, that looks so handsome on my entertainment unit. Like I don't really care. I don't even have room on my entertainment system anyway, but yeah, like I don't know, just
I think the point of it. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the size is what really gets me. Like anytime I see a picture of it, it's just like I keep forgetting that it's huge, and then I see a picture of one, and I'm like, oh my god, it's gigantic. How does that work for anybody? Like a friend of mine, when he got his PS5, like he had to go out and literally he bought a new entertainment unit because his other one couldn't fit
just for
the
his
PS5. And it was like one of those situations where it's like, oh, I can get one anyway. Like it's about time to upgrade. But it's just pretty sad that he literally had to buy a new entertainment unit because it just did not fit on any shelf in his existing entertainment unit.
That's what I just my IKEA furniture came the other day, and the unit that I bought, I made sure to get one specifically that could hold the PS5 because right now my PS5 is on the floor just beside my unit.
It's too big. It's massive.
It is very big. You imagine if you because people travel with their consoles. Like people will like grab a case and travel with their PS4 or their Xbox to like on when they go on business trips. Like, can you imagine traveling with that thing?
You got me thinking of those like games cases that are like the built-in screen.
Yeah, or
God.
Yeah. Like a giant Pelican case or something. You have to put that thing.
Oh man, yeah, no, that's not suitable for that scenario. Man, when the PS5 actually came out, like that company, like Games, must have been like, they see the new dimensions for it and they're like, fuck, like what are we gonna do with this? It's too big. I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. Like it's you can't have that power, I don't think, without having a system that's larger. But I mean,
well, you know what I think it is? I think a lot of it was to get people talking about it. And people are still talking about the design, right? I think that was probably the point, is more of a marketing thing. Because the Xbox does look good. It looks better. But I don't think people talked about it as much. They make fun of it like it's like a fridge or something, but I mean, which I think they're actually making now.
Yeah,
I remember that correctly.
I'm pretty sure I saw that on Twitter as well.
They had a Twitter competition between Skittles and they're now going to make fridges. So
yeah.
Anyway, but Matt, so this isn't going to be what you were hoping for, but this is from GameSpot. The PlayStation 5 could get a redesign within the next year or so, but it likely will be limited to its internal architecture, rather than a substantial change that we've seen from slim versions of past consoles. This is due to the global semiconductor shortage. The PS5's CPU might get swapped to help scale up production. Potential redesign was originally reported by Taiwanese outlet Digitimes, which suggests that semiconductor foundries are already preparing for the new PS5 architecture and target 2022 for production. As relayed by Dr. Sirkin Toto on Twitter, Digitimes reports that Sony is aiming for a new semi-customized 6nm CPU chip from AMD. So I think kind of the idea is to use less silicon, maybe something like that. I imagine it would have to be the same performance, right?
This just reminded me of a Reddit post I saw today that was like, if you could replace any substance on the planet with mayonnaise, what would you pick to cause the most chaos? And somebody said silicon. So that all digital information is just suddenly lost.
Oh, so that becomes mayonnaise?
Yeah, it just suddenly becomes mayonnaise.
That would ruin us. Our society would collapse.
Would crumble. It was like, it's the best. Because there's the easy answer, right? You could say, oh, hydrogen, water, air. You could say whatever, right? But I like how clever they were with it.
Oh my god, air would be horrible.
You'd be sucking in fucking mayo.
We would probably die.
Everyone would instantly die. Yeah, all the air in your lungs would instantly become mayonnaise.
No, I would adapt.
You would drown. You would not adapt. You would suffocate instantaneously.
I don't even know if we have a replacement for silicon. I saw a story years ago that they could use diamond.
I mean, diamond is plentiful.
They can manufacture diamonds in a lab and replace that with silicon. Or rather, replace silicon with diamond. So it would take us some time to get back up and running, but it would be chaos. Anyway, maybe this would push back a slim type version, though. You know, because if this is coming out in a couple years or so, maybe we won't see a slim version, Matt.
I mean, there's one thing about the Series X is that I really enjoy it because it's so damn simple. It's just like, here's this box, it's a rectangular prism, and that's it. And it takes up a lesser footprint than even my original Xbox One, launch day one, which was the big one. And I really like the Series X for that reason. And then the Series S is even smaller. I've never seen it in person, but from pictures and stuff, it's even smaller, which is great. There's something about Xbox that's just like, here, plug this in and play games. Like, go play COD or something. There's something about that, whereas I realize the PlayStation's kind of trying to, like, make a statement, I guess. But I used to have my PS4 and, like, controllers on the same shelf. Now the PS5 is the only thing on that shelf. It just can't fit. It's massive. And that's...
You have it vertical?
It won't fit. It won't fit vertical because I have a shelf. I have an open air shelf that's designed for old audio equipment, which is like perfect for console airflow. But the thing has to, unless it's on the top shelf, it has to sit like it has to sit horizontal because the shelves are too close together vertically. So unless I put it at the top shelf, of which my Series X is up there, and I ain't rewiring everything, but. Like, come on, can't make something this big.
You know what's funny too? It's like all of our other technology has gotten smaller. Obviously, our computers are a lot smaller than they were 50 years ago. But the PS5 is bigger than the Atari. Like,
yeah,
like,
it's
what's
massive.
going on here?
It is a massive. It's massive.
I mean, computers though, desktop computers are bigger than old game consoles. I remember, like, if you look at a home computer. Like PC case from the early 2000s compared to now, they're huge now. They're gigantic because they got to fit, those huge graphics cards with all their totally required and not at all garish like design to make it look like it's for extreme gamers.
I have my Asus 3-fan 1070 Ti crammed into a business case. My rig does not look like a gaming PC at all. It is crammed into a just traditional business case.
You know what they call those? Those are stealth builds.
Yeah.
No one would assume it could do some heavy gaming, and it just looks like It was
like
bought
it
off of a
is-
school lot.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it looks like. Is the wiring system on the inside? Holy shit! Some of those wires come dangerously close to a fan.
Oh my god, man.
it's like in an anime when like there's that like small character that everyone's just like, he couldn't possibly be powerful, and then he fucking rips off his shirt and he's got like more pecs than like the rest of his body combined, and everyone's like, whoa.
All right, our final story for this week: Activision Blizzard is shedding some light on their mobile approach, and calls the platform a real priority. This is from GameSpot. The latest Activision Blizzard quarterly earnings call devoted a substantial amount of time to the mobile realm, with the company revealing the importance of mobile gaming in their future plans. The company called the mobile market a real priority with a lot of investment and the hiring of hundreds of mobile developers underway. The goal, according to President and COO Daniel Allegra, is to have every major Activision Blizzard franchise on mobile devices. And I quote, mobile is the ultimate driver of reach, with almost 3 billion smartphones worldwide forecasted to be 4 billion in the next 5 years. We are doing ourselves and our community a disservice if our games are not on those platforms, which is why mobile is so important to our strategy. The opportunity is crystal clear. End quote. So I think this kind of also ties into the whole Epic versus Apple type of deal. Apple obviously has the iPhone, it's a very popular mobile gaming device, and it's clearly only going to get it more popular as companies like Activision start putting their titles onto mobile devices.
How in the shit are you gonna fit World of Warcraft on a mobile phone?
That's what I was thinking too.
There's no way.
I guess you would just be streaming it at that point.
I guess if that's what they mean, like, oh, it's
Yeah.
totally playable, but like I'm thinking developed for mobile. No, there's no way.
How big is the game? Do you know how big it is?
I mean, it's bigger now than it used to be because they've updated
Like
some
100
textures.
gigabytes? You talking? Are they talking 100?
I mean,
200?
I can
Let's
look it up
find
right
out.
now, yeah.
8,000 gigabytes.
Or are you just talking performance wise?
No, yeah, I was talking like playability.
Hmm.
But for curious minds, it's about 63 gigs of hard drive space.
Oh, okay.
No, that's
Okay.
not too
Yeah,
bad.
not
That's not terrible.
But yeah, no, I mean like for usability's sake. Like I remember when before Shadowlands came out, they were talking about having controller support for World of Warcraft on PC, which I was thinking like, how in the like what? You have a hotbar of like 10 things. How are you gonna keep on top of all your like cooldowns and stuff in your rotation on a controller? Like on a
ESO
gamepad?
does it. Elder Scrolls Online does it, right?
I mean, probably. And the thing is now is like I was thinking about that in the sense of like when I used to play, which was mostly in like Wrath of the Lich King and Mists of Pandaria, where rotations were like for the average class was probably like 6 or 7 or 8 abilities with like 4 things you would pop on cooldown every couple minutes. Now it's like most classes have between like 3 and 4 abilities that they regularly use, depending on what spec you are, and then you maybe have like 1 or 2 cooldowns, and that's it. So the game is like super simplified compared to back in the day. So like it's probably doable. And like I tried to set mine up when I was playing Shadowlands to be able to use a controller. And it's not intuitive at all. Like it's definitely doable, but it's not intuitive. You have to do a lot of custom mapping. And I had to follow like a guide online how to do it, but I eventually did kind of get it working, but it was not great. Like it's not like playing Diablo 3 on console, which works like really, really well. WoW does not work super well for a controller. But I mean, for the sake of like accessibility, say somebody who doesn't have the use of their arms or something like that, having one of those accessibility keyboards that like Microsoft, or not keyboards, but like game controllers that has like however many dozens of inputs that you can then custom map to whatever on like a computer. For that sort of thing, that accessibility, that I could understand needing like a gamepad support or like air quotes gamepad. But yeah, now I'm just trying to imagine that squished down to a touch screen that's like, 7 inches big. I just can't see how.
Well, COD Mobile has really opened my eyes to what's kind of possible on mobile, and I play that on my iPad now. I don't use a controller, but I can see that being pretty seamless going to a controller.
Mm-hmm. And I mean that's
go ahead.
that's a shooter though, right? So those started on gamepads. So that's definitely like easy to transition. I can see that for sure. And like I have my wireless controller has like a clip that can hold a phone, so you can clip your phone to the controller and play it that way. Like I was playing a couple of games on my phone that way a couple months ago. And for that, yeah, Fortnite or COD Mobile or whatever, for sure, I could see that. But yeah, I don't know. When it comes to something that it was designed for keyboard and mouse like 15 years ago, yeah, I don't know, man. I would love to see it, but I don't know.
So Activision already has COD on mobile. They're bringing Diablo with Immortals to mobile. I could easily see them bringing over Heroes of the Storm because of how well League of Legends worked.
Yeah.
What else? Hearthstone was made as like a mobile, or I guess it made on PC, but it was easily transitioned over to mobile.
Yeah, it actually wasn't even on iOS. It wasn't on iPhone originally. It was
on iPad, right?
It was only on iPad, and then it came to
which
iPhone
was a fantastic experience. So what do they need next? Overwatch, which is just a shooter, so that could probably work pretty easily.
Yeah, but I can see him doing a separate Overwatch game for mobile. Something dedicated for that in the Overwatch flavor.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily Overwatch itself.
And then
you
I
know,
guess
that could be the key there is there's an MMO online right now on mobile called Black Desert Online, I think. I wonder if they'll
the
take...
Korean one?
I think so. I believe... I've never played it. I believe the characters are the same across the PC version and the mobile version. I don't know for sure, but they claim at least that the mobile version is basically your full MMO experience. I wonder... I realize they don't, as far as I know, own Black Desert Online, but they might take pointers or go in that direction and make like a smaller WoW. That would kind of make sense. WoW Classic on phones? That's probably crazy. That's probably crazy. I mean, Tim could comment on that, but that's probably crazy.
You know what else is on mobile is Genshin Impact. That's a bit of an MMO-ish.
I've only seen the name. I've never seen anything about that game.
Yeah, I could see that working for sure. But yeah, I mean, when you mentioned WoW Classic, that's like even less likely than current WoW, I think.
Oh, because it's it's less accessible and stuff, right? Like it's more the old way, obviously. It's the classic way.
The game was way more like involved as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could see from the perspective of like gameplay and like what you were sort of expected to do, like pluck away at it a little bit for like, you know, maybe a half hour at a time or an hour at a time and kind of slowly make your way towards end game in classic. Yeah, like that would possibly work on mobile because mobile is a platform where people kind of just pick up and play 15 minutes at a time kind of thing, right? Whenever you can kind of squeeze a bit of gameplay in. But it's so convoluted and like complicated, and you have to like actually properly be on top of like your rotation, even just trying to level up in the overworld. Like WoW is super casual now if you're just trying to level and stuff, and it really only gets difficult when you're trying to do like organize like raids and things like that, and certain dungeons as well. Like some bosses will have gimmicks for the fight that you have to kind of be aware of or be on top of and stuff, and you learn that as you do it. But back then it was like even just in the starting area, like you would probably die a couple of times if you weren't paying attention. Like those mobs have so much health and you do so little damage, and every fight like brings your health or mana or energy or whatever you're using down to probably its limits by the time the fight's over, and then you have to sit and you have to eat some food and you have to heal and you have to bandage back up, and then all right, let's go fight the second of 12 things I need to kill for this quest.
Oh
like
God.
It's tedious, man. It's really, really tedious. But some people like that, more satisfying, I guess. And like,
you know what though? iOS now supports mouse and keyboards.
Oh God. Oh God.
You could set up your
oh my God.
You could set up your 12.9-inch iPad Pro with a mouse and keyboard, and you're freaking playing WoW.
Easily, yeah. But
and Heroes of the
iPad
Storm.
Pro is effectively a computer at that point, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have that floating keyboard thing.
Yeah, there you go.
I was actually just shopping for. I didn't know that the Microsoft Surfaces are on sale this week, but the lowest one that's on sale for $7.99 sold out. I can't even order it.
'Cause they just
From
came out with
what
new ones,
price
didn't they?
normally?
The lowest one's priced $1,999. It was on sale for $799, but they're all sold out.
Yeah, Kayla just got a Surface for Christmas just passed, and like she had an absolute bargain bin like garbage laptop before, and to go from that to the new Surface was like really good.
Do you
Really,
know what?
really good.
Do you know which specs? What she has in it?
I could get the specs for you, but I don't know offhand.
Okay.
It's like the mid tier one, I think. She put it was about $2,000, I think, at the time.
Oh, wow.
But so worth it though. Like
Yeah,
really good computer.
I want to. I'm gonna try to convince my work to expense one. I think that's what I'm gonna try.
I need this.
This
All
will
right.
help my productivity.
That's right. Dollars
That's all
and
we
cents.
got.
Dollars and cents.
Let me ask you guys a quick question. With your multiple devices, controllers, phones, AirPods, whatever, blah blah blah, do you guys have dedicated charging stations located somewhere in your personal space, or do you charge them to each respective device? Like, do your controllers charge with each console, or do you have a table of just every port possible and you plug everything in?
I myself will usually plug my controllers into the console to charge them, and then for my phone, I have a wireless charging station on my bedside table. I just charge my phone there every night.
I have a wireless charging station beside the couch. It's a fast charger, but it's one of the older ones, so it's slow by modern spec. And then I have a super fast, I don't think that's literally the name, but it's, in my opinion, it's very fast as the cable charges wireless charger from Samsung on my desk, which stands the phone up. So I usually charge my phones at my desk or on, like, it just depends if it's like end of the day or whatever, because I actually use my device until it's low. I don't charge it every night. And then I do have a charging thing beside my bed if I need it then, which is just a cable though. And the controllers, actually, strange enough, controllers right now, I charge them as I need them. I just have a USB cable going to like a wall wart, and I just plug them in that way, and then I just let them charge to full. But I still have my PS4 hooked up, which I'm gonna decommission, and I'm gonna I have an Xbox One controller charging dock, and I also have a PS5 one now. So I'm going to get the charging dock set up, put it where the PS4 was, and I'm going to have a dedicated little station for the controllers just so that they're always topped up, because it's super annoying to have a wireless headset that sometimes I just let that like die because it lasts forever, and then I just plug it in if I'm using it at the time. And it's super annoying. The other day I was wired to like 2 wall warts. My head was wired to it and my hands were effectively wired to it. So it was just a bit cumbersome. So I'm going to not do that anymore. But yeah, that's how I do it.
Ryan.
They got chargers all over the goddamn place.
All right, that's been the show, everyone.
You
Well, I don't know if
wirelessly
you wanted me to
charge?
go. I don't know if you wanted me to go through them all like everyone else did. or not.
No.
I thought you just wanted like a general. Like, if we do have a station or everywhere.
Because I have cables all over the place as well, and I kind of want I want to do just a single charging station somewhere. Like, I really want one table where everything goes down, and it's literally just that. It's
Buy
just
a charging pad. One cable has 3 charging things on it. Wireless chargers.
I'm-
Toss your shit on there. That's it.
I don't even need a charging pad. Like, yeah. Like, are you talking about like a wireless charging pad?
Yeah,
Like,
there's ones for like 2 to 3 devices, depending on your
Yeah,
setup,
I
and you
don't-
just
I
fucking
don't
3
even-
devices down, walk away.
Yeah, I'm willing to have all my cables on one spot, because like I kind of just need like 2 of each cable. I need like 2 iPhone. I need 2 what's the new the PlayStation 5 one? Is that USB-C?
See?
Yeah. So I need a C. I need a what's the one, the PlayStation 4 one? Micro.
Micro.
Fuck, I would really. I still have my PS3 hooked up, so I need like a USB mini. And it's
Mini,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like, okay, so I feel like I just kind of need one central spot, because they're all over the fucking place and it's killing me.
Well, one thing I did, Adriano, actually, so when I ripped out my consoles, so I left my old consoles hooked up, or like I unplugged them just because I wasn't using them, and that's just like a waste. But like I unplugged them, but I left them where they were, and the cables where they were too, short of it being plugged in. So I mean, like my 360 and my PS3 were just left unplugged. Cables still managed to some degree, kind of just a mess. And then my PS4 and that were just sort of plugged into the plugs where the other ones were. But the cables were starting to get ridiculous. And so when the next gen, so Series and PS5 came out, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm getting rid of this. So I packed up the Xbox One. I'm going to pack up the PS4 because I was doing the capture gallery stuff as well weeks ago, but I just haven't moved anything due to COVID. But I'm going to pack up the PS4 as well. And then like those get removed. The shelving with the old consoles still has them on it because they're too small now for the new consoles. But I've removed all the cabling, and then this is what I've been doing to like keep my stuff in order. So, for example, my wireless headset has a dongle. My PS5 has a USB-C. It's a USB-C dongle, but it also came with a USB-A to C adapter. Something like the Xbox Series does not have a USB-C, as far as I know, at least not on the front for sure. And so I literally grabbed that, wrapped the cable around my stand, and Velcro tied it really nice. And now I literally have my dongles either on the left of the stand or the right of the stand, on the adapter or not on the adapter. But I've started doing the same thing with chargers. So I've been like, here's where all my charging cables are. I'll tie them all together with some slack, and then it's like semi-permanent. But like, for example, the one beside my bed, if I need my phone in my bed for some reason, I need that to be flexible. That's really the only freeform charger I have anymore. Everything's all just like in its place, and I restrict it to where it will almost always be used, and it really does clean stuff up.
Okay. Because yeah, what I'm leaning towards is having a because I'm rearranging furniture, so now I have this little I have this table that was at the front of my unit where it housed all like my wallet and my keys and stuff where I would come home and kind of toss stuff down. But now I'm probably going to move it into my bedroom, and I'm probably going to just set up like a station there and just have probably two of each cable minus the mini, probably just have one cable there, and just have a giant station of charging cables. I'll get like a USB dedicated power bar, so I don't even have to get the fucking wall outlets. Just plug those right into that and go.
I will say, like, one thing in terms of cable management is, and I made this mistake with my first wireless charger, is don't place things. This sounds obvious, but it isn't, or at least it wasn't to me. Was don't place your chargers someplace where, like, so you're saying in your bedroom. You get home, your phone's low, but you need your phone. Now you have to anchor yourself to that stand. That's why I have multiple charging areas, because it's a pain in the ass. It's like, fuck, I need this phone, but I have to like it's annoying. That's why I have two wireless chargers now, for example.
And the things are like, I still have a cable at my PC for something like that. Mm-hmm. And I would still have just like an extra cable around. But the reason why I want a central station is actually the phones would probably just be a happy byproduct, but it's mainly for the controllers. Because what's happening is like I have a bunch of PlayStation 4 controllers around, and like they're never charged. Like I have one in front of me right now, which is most certainly dead, and I just haven't plugged it in. The PS4, I just fired up the PS4 to start this Overwatch transfer process. And it's like, oh yeah, the controller was just dead because the console was off. It wasn't in standby, and the battery just drained. And I just kind of want a station where I can just plug something in and leave it ready to go. Mm-hmm. And then that way, I can leave each controller synced with its respective device. Because now, also when I move my PS4 controllers between my PS4 and my PC, I have to resync them every time. And then when I wanted to charge it, because the cable that if I plug in my PS4 controller to my PC, it doesn't charge it. It will power it and it will run it, but it doesn't charge it. So then to charge it, I would bring it back to the PS4 to charge it in standby, but then it would resync to that console. And then I have to bring it back to the PC, I have to resync it here. It was just like this really cumbersome situation that I kind of want to fix. So.
All right. Thanks for listening. You can catch Tim on the Twitch at twitch.tv/yeahthatfigures.
Yes, sir. Yes,
doing
sir.
doing a lot of good work over there. You can catch us on Wednesdays, twitch.tv/DayOnePatchMedia.
Till 1 a.m. apparently now.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.